y'all, and welcome to another Broke PhD podcast video podcast episode. For those who may not know, the Broke and Broke PhD podcast stands for building relationships or kindling emotions, which I aim to do with every episode. On this episode, I get to have a conversation with Malynda Hale. Malynda is an award-winning actress. She's a singer. She's an activist. She's the executive director for the New Evangelicals. She's a content creator, and she's an all-around multi-hyphenate. During our conversation, Malynda shares about her background and shares about her experiences of being an activist, of navigating the entertainment world, and of trying to find that balance between her artistry and her activism. Additionally, we talk about the topics of being content creators / the social media world in general. We talk about the topics of AI and its impact on music. And we talk about our experiences of being Black women, navigating the present socioeconomic climate, specifically that of the one here in the United States. So I hope that y'all are ready for this fun ride of a conversation, and I hope that y'all enjoy watching this video podcast episode. Hey y'all, Dr. G here, and I'm so excited for my guest today and to have the Malynda Hale. And yes, I will say the Malynda Hale. She is an actress, a singer, an activist, the executive director for the New Evangelicals, and an all-around multi-hyphenate. So I'm so excited for you to be here and to get to talk to you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here too.
Oh my God. And while we are getting started, and so that the listeners can get to know a little bit about you, if they don't already know who you are, can you please, in your own words, share a brief overview about your background?
Sure, I'm so bad at this, and I feel like I've done a million interviews, and I still just I hate talking about myself. I'm an actress, singer, activist, all of those things, a storyteller, creator, and I'm originally from Santa Barbara, California. I grew up singing in one of the only historically Black churches there, and I had a really just great foundation with my parents. And they've really my faith and their pro-Black stances really has informed a lot of what I've done and
Mhm.
gotten involved in. I went to a liberal conservative, well, I shouldn't say liberal, a liberal arts, but it was a conservative evangelical Christian college, and that made me more liberal and more pro-Black, I always say. Um, but I've lived in New York, I lived in Chicago, I'm in Los Angeles now. I
Mhm.
love connecting with people. I love having conversations, and I get involved in everything. I know it's exhausting probably listing all of the things that I do, but I'm impatient and I get bored and I want to make an impact, in the
Mhm.
world. So I just like to be involved in so many things. Yeah.
I love that. And there's nothing wrong with being multi-hyphenate. I'm here
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah.
Like the days of just being in one niche are kind of, I feel like they're going behind us a little bit.
I agree.
Well, thank you for sharing about your background. And again, for the listeners, if you do not know, hopefully you get a little bit more insight about Malynda as we are having this conversation today. And you shared that you want to be, well, through your experience, you have become more pro-Black. And so I want to kind of tap into that activism side because that's kind of how I got connected with you. For
Yeah.
those out there, I found her and I started following her on Instagram and I just sent her a DM. So again, shoot your shot. You never know what can happen. And I love that you are an activist and that you are out there sharing your insights and lifting up voices that oftentimes are left out of the narrative. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do on my podcast. So I thought this was a great fit. So here we are.
Yeah.
And I just want to ask you, can you share more about your activism? I know you shared a little bit about how you got started,
Yeah.
but if you want to talk about what's happening now and kind of your thoughts for moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I first and foremost, I would say the music that I did, because I started really doing music and singing, a lot of
Mhm.
it had like a social justice foundation behind
Mm.
it, right? But in 2016, that's when things really started shifting for me,
Mhm.
really being more vocal about how I felt about Black Lives Matter, how I saw people that I thought would be there for me and would stand up for me, saying all lives matter. And I ended up writing this song called We Run that was specifically about how Black people are always running from something and we're tired, right? And
Mhm.
and so I started using my music and even the acting and directing that I've done to be more of a storyteller in addition to posting and educating and always having these conversations. But I've been involved with a lot of organizations. I really love to give back. But it's funny to say this. I always feel say my platform isn't for Black people because they all know what I'm saying. My platform is for people that y'all need to like listen and understand, right? And so I have no problem, and I know a lot of people do get tired, but I call my activism more educating activism because I
Mhm.
want to have a conversation with people and I
Mhm.
want them to understand. Um, I'm not really like a protest activist.
I feel that. I feel that.
I don't like crowds. Like I just, I mean, I've been out before, but it just,
Uh-huh.
oh God, it makes me so uncomfortable. So I would rather like have a conversation with somebody,
Mhm.
educate, donate, share where people can
Mhm.
volunteer. I'll volunteer, like I like volunteering at like shelters or like soup
Uh-huh.
kitchens, things like that. I'll do that. But like just being out on the streets with a picket sign is like not really my vibe. But
And that's okay. Like we need people in all lanes, right?
all
Yeah.
lanes. And so activism is a wide spectrum, right?
Uh-huh.
There's so many different lanes. So find the one that works for you and do it
Yep.
unapologetically. So yeah, I mean, and I feel like I'm the type of person, especially because I've grown up a progressive Christian, and so my
Mhm.
faith really informs everything that I do. And I
Mhm.
personally feel being, if you claim to be a Christian, activism is supposed to go hand in hand because that's exactly
Mm.
what Jesus was doing, right? And so
Mhm.
I have really taken it seriously to show up for as many groups as possible, talking
Mhm.
about whatever I can,
Mhm.
advocating obviously for Black people because I'm root for Black people first,
Yeah.
but showing up for the LGBTQ community, showing up for the Jewish community, showing up for the Muslim community. It doesn't matter who, showing up for women. I just feel like there's
Mhm.
one, a seat at the table for everybody, but
Mhm.
everybody also has their own individual struggles that I think if we all collectively cared a little bit more about each other and had empathy, we could actually make a lot more progress. So my activism is really rooted in love and compassion and empathy, but also education and conversation because I think a lot of our issues are stemmed from people not talking to each other.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I love that. I love that you are here to root up or lift up as many voices as possible. And
Yeah,
I feel, yeah, if you're an activist, that ideally you're an activist for all and you're trying to bring up as many
sure.
communities as possible because
Yeah.
collectively we are stronger, right? And yeah, if we all just sit down and have a conversation and we get the information out there, we actually probably agree on a lot more than we think we disagree on.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, again, there are those people that
Yes.
we all know those people.
Yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
but that's but that's not who I'm trying to like,
No.
extend an olive branch to. Like I know who those people are. I'm not wasting my energy on
Right.
that. But I do think that there are some people that like they just don't know what they don't know, right?
Hmm.
And so I do want to kind of give them a gentle on-ramp to unlearning things that they may have known or learning things that will help them, whatever the case may be. I do think that there are people that want to do good and want to do better, but they
Hmm.
really just don't know. And so
Yeah.
I feel like I am a safe space, quote unquote. I don't
Mhm.
necessarily like using that word, but I do feel like I am the type of person that if you want to learn something,
Mhm.
I'm here to teach you and I'll have that conversation for sure.
And I love that you are trying to be not quote unquote that like safe space, but trying to provide that opportunity for those who don't know where to get the information or may not have been exposed to the information that they can, come across your content on social media or encounter it some form and be like, oh, I didn't know that. And hopefully
Yeah.
they're open to learning. I think that's another key part of it too, is that the people you are kind of reaching out to have to also be open to learning new information
Yeah.
and to kind of going against what they may have seen as their norm or,
Yeah.
what was readily available.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. And I think the other thing for me that I'm really always trying to push is just the humanity of each
mm,
other. I think that a lot of people fear that you see a different color, the color of someone's skin and think that you
mhm,
can't relate to them, that
yeah,
you're not going to have a similar experience, or somebody practices a different religion and you're
mhm,
not going to be able to relate to them. But even if you don't relate to that experience,
mhm,
we still are all going through a human experience, right?
yes,
And also, learning other people's experiences and being exposed to their cultures and their religions makes you a better, more well-rounded person.
yes,
So we shouldn't be afraid to be
mhm,
exposed to that. I have traveled the world, like and truly traveled the world as a performer, just going with my husband, whatever the case may
mhm,
be. And I love being immerse into other people's culture and learning because it's so beautiful. And also, you take your ego out of it, knowing like, oh, I'm not the I what I do isn't the only way to do something,
Mhm.
right? This works for them or this works for them. And so I wish people would get out of their bubbles and just experience
Mhm.
life a little more because again, that would also make us have a little bit more progress.
Yes, I agree. And we can learn so much from each other that
Absolutely.
even if you're in the same community though, like you and I being a black women in the community, we have different experiences.
Sure, sure.
So even within your community, if you don't feel comfortable yet to go outside your bubble, just talk to your neighbor or talk to somebody else who you assume has a similar background as you, which isn't always the case. Everyone is
Yeah.
different. Everyone's
Yes.
unique. Everyone's experience is not going to be the same.
Yeah.
So just, yeah, we just need to be more open to learning from one another because we can learn a lot more and have so much more fun and take in more insights and be like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, or I didn't know I could do that, or oh, they do this. So, yeah.
I completely agree. I love that. Yeah.
So, tapping back onto your background, you said that you started out as a singer and an actress, which I don't know if a lot of people know that. I think if they meet you in nowadays, they know you as an activist, but
Yeah.
the real ones, we know you started off as a singer and an actress. So, can you please just share a little bit about that experience and
Oh, yeah.
navigating that world?
Sure. It's so funny because I feel like I've lived three lives. It's wild. So yeah, I mean, my degree was in classical voice and opera, and my minor's in musical theater, and I really thought I was going to be Whitney Houston. Really did. But like I feel honestly as an independent artist that I have had a successful career,
Mhm,
but I think, and my husband tells me this all the time, like who I am and who I was meant to be and the impact I was meant to make in the world was
mhm,
beyond just being an artist. And it's
mm.
that's no like shade to people that are
Yeah.
artists because there are people like I could never do what Beyonce does. Like that woman is
Yeah.
insane, right? Like she is an artist.
Yes.
You look at all these people that like they put their heart and soul into all of their art, and I just was always so involved in so many other things that I didn't. He was like, I couldn't see you being just kind of confounded to that one thing, right?
Mm,
But with that being said, I have some really incredible milestones that I hit with being a singer. I did get to tour the world.
mhm.
And I opened for, I always joke, I always opened for O-Town, if anybody remembers that 90s group. Yeah.
That was my, yeah.
I mean, like, come on, 90s boy band. So that was like,
Yep.
oh my God, I could die now. I'm fine. I opened for them and now
Liquid
they're
Dream.
now
Yeah.
they're right. You know, right? I got to open for Smokey Robinson. I opened for Tyrone Wells, Ernie Halter. So like I did a lot of stuff. I had, residencies. I've released albums.
Mhm,
I'm still, I still record music and release it
mhm,
for fun, but it's just not what's driving me right now. And then
mhm,
in terms of acting, I kind of had like a huge like peak of it and then I stopped for a while and now I'm kind of coming back, but I'm
mhm,
more looking at the filmmaker side of it and not just the
mhm,
acting. But
mhm,
about 2 years ago, I re-entered it, and this is a huge re-entrance to acting, and I started a movie with Loretta Devine.
mhm,
And now she's a huge mentor and a huge friend of mine. And now I just got to direct her in a film this past summer, which was amazing. And that film was also with Amy Madigan, who's like making waves from being in Weapons. And
mhm,
so what I realized also from a directing standpoint is that aspect of being an artist really has also made sense for me because
mhm,
it's telling people what to do to make a beautiful product and make sure that everybody feels included and
mhm.
they're the best version of themselves for whatever the film is. And so I've really enjoyed directing. But yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of acting. I've done quite a few Lifetime movies. Like I just don't post about it. And I know I just don't post about it. And so like I've had a couple people message me recently. They're like, "Are you in a Lifetime movie?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Why don't you say anything?" I was like, "I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't."
You're like so humble with it, but
It's
like
just
that's a
so
big thing.
it's just so funny. I know. I just forget because I'm so like, we gotta change the,
Yeah.
we gotta save democracy, And so I'm like, if we don't have democracy, I'm not gonna be able to act in anything anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to get better about that. I'm trying. People always tell me you need to post more stuff. So I know. And so I will. I'm trying to find the balance of like the artist activist.
Mhm.
So, but yeah, I've done quite a bit, and I'm really proud of the things that I've accomplished. But I've really felt when I took a break, it's because
Mhm.
my voice was needed in other ways. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah.
I will hype you up. I know like it's a growing thing, but I will be here to hype. Y'all go
Thank
check her
you.
stuff
You're
out.
so
Like
sweet.
she's gonna be humble about it, but here we are. But I also get that yes, there are bigger, I guess, fish to fry or bigger problems to kind of focus on at the forefront.
Yeah.
So totally get that of wanting, in the line of things that yes,
Sure,
the
sure.
Lifetime movie versus like, hey, her rights are getting stripped away. I guess the rights will be
Like, right. And that's my thing. It's like, I'm not going to be that. I just can't be that person where it's like, oh my gosh, like, exactly, right? So
yeah.
people don't have food, SNAP
Yeah.
benefits, but hey guys,
Yeah.
I'm in a
Check
Lifetime
out my
movie.
movie.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I know I do. I want to find a balance, but I think it's just a matter of like the timing,
Yes,
like
yes.
even if it's like, hey, like I do have a film that it's going to be coming out that I'm going to be streaming that we did this festival circuit. So I feel like
Mhm.
now is kind of safe to post about it in the
Okay.
holidays. Like, if you want to take time to watch this movie, blah, blah,
Yes.
blah, as long as nothing crazy happens.
Pops off and
But
yeah,
yeah,
in the next week or so. Yeah, we'll
right.
see. But let's pivot into the creator world. So, kind of going in again, activist, actor, singer, but you're also a creator that you have a large following on social media platforms. And being a creator, being an influencer is kind of a niche in itself and a hyphenate or a hyphen in itself, for
Sure.
sure. Being a content creator myself, it's a lot of work.
It is.
And so, can you talk about your experience with that and
Yeah.
your platform?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's interesting because I feel like I kind of just fell into this. Like, there
Mhm.
was never like the intention of I'm going to be a content creator.
Mhm.
I think there are people that make that decision, and you can even tell with like how things are produced and everything. And
Mhm.
I'm trying to be a little bit more branded with my stuff. But yeah, I think it was just like one of those situations where like I had a couple of posts go viral a few years ago, and I was
Mhm.
like, oh, well, maybe I should just keep this up.
Mhm.
Like, you know? And so then I started being a little bit more intentional and working with like creator agencies and doing different campaigns and
Mhm.
partnerships. But I'm very, very specific on the
Mhm.
type of content creation I do, the type of partnerships I do, and the things I talk about,
Mhm.
because I know that there are content creators where it's like they're in their bag, and I'm like, get your bag, do whatever you
Right.
want, right? But for me, it still has to feel very values aligned, and it has to feel
Mhm.
authentic to who I am. And
Mhm.
because I feel like if I just all of a sudden started like buy this skincare cream, like
Yeah.
people be like,
Mhm.
I mean, you have good skin, but like when, you know what I
But
mean?
this is,
It'd be it'd
yeah.
be it'd be different, right? But
Mhm.
so I do try to be very authentic in the things that I do in terms of content creation. But it's interesting because there are sometimes when like I'll write a script out and then I'll
Mhm.
film it and I'll have to do like the lighting and make sure, and
Mhm.
it's like, gosh, this is like you have your own mini studio
Yeah.
as a content
Yeah.
creator, and it's a lot of work. And so what I have learned is that I wish people would give more respect to people
Mhm.
that choose to do content creation full
Mhm.
time, because it isn't just posting on Instagram. There
Yeah.
is actually a lot of thought and time and energy that goes into creating.
Yes.
Um, and also, there are times, when I don't feel like posting anything, and then you do feel that kind of like dip in your engagement, and then you're like, oh, I need to. And I know, and I've had, conversations like that with other creators where it's like, it's exhausting because you are your own business, you're your
Mhm.
platform, you're your manager, you're your own producer, whatever the case may
Mhm.
be. And so you have to just go, 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 go. But I hope that people that are content creators do realize it's okay. Like, social media is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
The people that follow you for a reason, and
Mhm.
they're not going to be like, they haven't posted in 3 days, I'm unfollowing them. Like, and if they do, they shouldn't have been your follower, and they're not really
Yeah.
a real follower. But I do think that content creators and influencers are one, a huge part of like the information ecosystem now,
Mhm.
and they're going to be even more important in like the next 5 years because people are pivoting away from like mainstream media. They're pivoting
Mhm.
away from even like TV shows, like vertical short form shows on TikTok. I don't know if you know what those are.
Yeah.
The- They're huge. They're like,
Yep.
I mean, they're like mini soap operas on TikTok, and they get millions
Abuse.
of
Yeah.
views. And they're, I mean, like, they're like by and large, like they're generally not good, right? Let's just be honest. Like, and
Yeah,
it's
they're not the
fine to
greatest.
say it's fine to say that neither are Lifetime movies, but
No.
you know what I mean? But we watch them
But
because
people watch them.
it's entertaining, it's escapism, it's
Yep.
fun. So I think that we really should start paying attention to it a little bit more and also giving
Hmm.
it a little bit more respect because I think it is going to grow more and more. And people are also
Hmm.
looking for their own forms of income. I mean,
Yes.
going back to my activism, you see how many people have lost jobs this year.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been any new real job creation. I mean,
No,
you
or
wouldn't
income
know
stream.
anyway because he's taking away the jobs reports, but
Yeah.
that's also another conversation. But so I think that there's no, I see no issue with people trying to create their own income, their own
Hmm.
space. Also, taking money from big platforms. Get that Meta money, get that
Yep.
TikTok money. They have
Yes.
tons. So if you're able to utilize that and
Hmm.
work the system and make a living off of that, more power to you. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's a lot that goes into it though. There really is.
Yeah. And sorry, that's a lot to like
I know. I just like dumped. Sorry.
but I love it. I'm here for it. I was like processing all the information. But no, like to start from the beginning, being a creator, it needs to get more respect
Yeah.
nowadays, that there is so much that goes into it. Like you said, it's not just someone just snapping a picture and posting it. There's so many things, whether it's the right caption, whether it's the right lighting, whether they edit it, whether they use a filter, whether, yeah, there's so many steps that go into it. And then if you're trying to follow a trend, you have to make it your own in some way.
Yeah.
And if you're filming, like you said, you have like a mini studio and the different angles and the different things you're using to capture these angles. Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a
It
lot.
is a lot of steps.
Yeah.
And also, yeah, if you can get that bag on those social media platforms, that is a great way to do it. So many people use it as their side hustle, but then a lot of people are using it as their main form of
Yeah.
income because
Yeah.
they either lost their job for X, Y, and Z reason. And or, with everything happening right now in society, specifically here in the United States, with things being up in the air as they are, this becomes a stream of income, especially if you are let go from a job for various reasons that like we don't have enough time to talk about. And
Right.
so
Right.
And so, yeah, if you're able to use that as a way to better your life and your family's life and all of that, why should that be frowned upon, right?
100%. 100%.
And also, yeah, mainstream media isn't the go-to anymore for a lot of journalism input,
Yeah.
that a lot of people are getting their news and getting their information on TikTok and on social medias. And again, take those things with a grain of salt because me being a researcher myself, I'm always like, do your research, people. Don't just take things blindly. Like, even if I'm saying it, make sure you look it up for yourself.
Yeah.
Like, don't
Absolutely.
just take it in and just like, oh, okay, well, such and such said that because you don't always know the sources that they're using. And there's a lot of things with that. But that has become, social media has become a way that people get their input, their information, their insights. Because I know I'll hear something and be like, oh, this happened, and it might be like around the corner from me. Whereas on, any outlet or something, whether it be like a newspaper or an article that we read, we'll be like, oh, that happened like a day later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
So here to support those content creators, those
Yes, we
influencers.
are. Yes, we are.
We are cheering y'all on. So now that you've shared about you being an activist, about you being an actress, a singer, about you being a creator, I would like to pivot this conversation into something that we are connected by both being Black women.
Mm.
So taking this lens of being a Black woman, doing all three of those, as well as also just a Black woman living in today's social economical world, specifically for those listeners who may be outside of the country, but we're here in the United States. So, with all the things that are happening right now, just adding on top of the layers of layers and layers. And as you said in the beginning, like, we're tired. Personally,
Oh,
I'm tired. I know others are tired. So, if we want to talk about those experiences, because again, we have different experiences, we have different
yeah.
perspectives, different lenses, and let's just share about that if you want to start with that.
I mean, I do think collectively Black women are exhausted.
Yeah.
Um, but first and foremost, I will always root for, uplift, prioritize, uh, you know, root, whatever.
Yeah.
I know I said that, but Black women, they will come first for me always.
Yes.
Um, I I love how we show up.
Hmm.
I love the way in which we show up. Um, whether it is with a little bit of softer love and compassion or with that tough love that like y'all need to listen, right?
Mhm.
What's frustrating for me as a Black woman in this time is the amount of times I hear listen to Black women and then they don't do it.
Yes.
We are the only demographic that has the vantage point and the perspective that we do. And I say this because society
Mm.
has put us at the bottom.
Hmm.
We aren't at the bottom, but
No.
society has put us at the bottom. And because of that, all we've ever been able to do is look up and see everything that's happening. So
Hmm.
when you have that vantage point, you're like, well, they shouldn't be doing this. We should probably be doing this. And maybe if they would listen to this, we know what the solutions are, but they're
Hmm.
not listening to us. And so that's what's frustrating to me because we have the education, we have the experience,
Hmm.
we have the street smarts and the book smarts. Like we have the heart, we have the compassion because we show up for everybody, and we have the organizational skills, right?
Hmm.
But we are just not being listened to. And
Hmm.
so that's what's been frustrating for me. So when I see currently Black women being like,
This
I'm
is,
sitting this
yeah.
out. You sit it out, sis, because they don't
Yeah.
want to listen.
No.
I get that Black women are tired. I get they're like, I'm tired of showing up and y'all ain't listen to us. I'm tired of doing all of this organizing and you're
Hmm.
not doing what we say. If people would just listen to us, we would not be where we are right now.
Yeah.
We are, yeah, we're just a demographic that is not respected, yet expected
Yes.
to be the ones to always show up and save. So while I will continue to fight in the way that I do,
Hmm.
I'm not going to fault any Black woman for choosing to step down and go to brunch.
Yep. Yep.
Go to
Same.
brunch. It's fine.
Same.
You go enjoy your brunch, please. Yeah.
Right?
So that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I'm not gonna back down right now, but I'm not gonna fault any of us if we decide to. Yeah.
No, and same. And I think after the most recent election here in the United States, that was just, it wasn't eye-opening. It was a part of, there was that little part of me, and I feel like maybe some other Black women can connect to this too, that like
Hmm.
we had a feeling, we were like, okay, this is hope. But realistically, we were like, huh, is this gonna play out how we hope and we wish it
Yeah.
will?
Yeah.
And so when the results happened, I wasn't surprised by those results. So it
I
was
was
just one of
surprised.
those
I was just
things.
disappointed. I was just like,
Yeah, I was like, yep,
y'all ain't gonna learn. Y'all ain't gonna learn.
yeah,
That's what I said. I was just like,
yep.
we done told you, and you don't. So what
Yep.
do you want us to do? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Hmm.
And I think recently overhearing, and I don't know, I'm probably, this is an exact quote. So it's one of those things where even just hearing like Kamala Harris being like, well, I can't help, like I can't do anything either. And I was like, the fact that she went through that and she even is like, I'm washing my hands with it too, kind of like, I feel that. Like,
Right. So what do you had the opportunity to have her
yes,
lead and help. So why are you
yes,
trying to get her to do stuff now? Like what do you want her to
right?
do?
Right? And then they're
That
still trying to come at her. And it's like, no, 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 y'all didn't pick her. Let her rest. Let her have her moment. Let her go on her book tour,
that
promote
part.
her stuff, get her bag.
That part.
Y'all had an opportunity and you fumbled it. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, let her do
Yep.
whatever she can do. Whatever she decided, if she wanted to have a Netflix show like Meghan Markle,
Yeah.
she could have. If she wants to just start cooking to be a trad wife, I ain't mad at her because
Go
she
for it.
put everything into that campaign, and they put her through the ringer, and y'all still mess it
Yep.
up. So
But no, but just tired, just tired. And
exhausted.
yeah. And it's just, I even think of just like how did like those that came before me went through because
Mm,
when you think in perspective that nowadays and you can say it's better because like of other acts like aspects of like okay we may not need to like fight for our lives every single day kind of thing that we can be in a position that we can make our own money and those kind of things when you think comparatively to those that came before us that we're not doing X, Y, and Z that could be even more detrimental. And, we can have these moments of trying to focus on mental health and focus on other things rather than just survival. That
yeah.
in that aspect, it's better, but then better is relative. And like you said, in society, Black women have been put at the bottom, even though statistically we are the most educated group.
That part. That part.
The
It's
most
wild.
educated group.
Yeah.
And I can sit here and point at my PhD in the corner, being one of the
Hello?
very small percentage.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, but still, as you said, we're at the bottom looking up because of the lack of respect, because they are painting that other characteristics, other qualifications are more acceptable or desired
Sure.
when they don't mean anything. And they
Yeah.
normally, while they might be the loudest ones in the room, they're only the most wrong in the room.
Right.
So,
Yes. Yes. And it's so interesting because, obviously we always get that stereotype of the
mm,
angry black woman, right? And while I'm not going to ever claim that, I do
mm,
always say, would you not be angry if you were treated the way that we are?
mhm,
And I feel like I've given some people to think something to think about when I've said that. It's like,
mm.
I'm not going to claim that stereotype, but if I were to be like, yeah, I am angry, I have every right to be.
Yeah,
We have every right to
yeah.
be. You don't listen to us, you disrespect us, you put us
Mhm.
at the bottom, and then you're going to tell us that we're angry?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's I don't like how we always have these stereotypes put on us that
Mhm.
they caused. It's what we respond to, it's a reaction.
Yes.
It's not who we are. If we're
No.
responding to you that way, think about your behavior and what
Mhm.
caused us to respond to you that way. But there's never any accountability. It's always put on us and as us being the problem. That's
Mhm.
my little vent and my little rant about
And I second that. I second
that.
because it's true. Because people, if someone is going into a situation and they have an emotional response, and that's something that also we have to think about as Black women, is that we can't react as we naturally probably would sometimes. That we have to consider, and this is another burden that for anybody listening out here who's not a Black woman, you may not be aware of, that we always have to consider how we react in a situation so that we are
Yeah.
not adding or creating or whatever to whatever stereotype has been placed on us.
Yep. Yep.
And that's not that's not a normal way to be, that we are always
Nope.
on the offense, because we can't be on the defense, because if we're defensively reacting, then it becomes X, Y, and Z stereotype. And we're at fault because someone did something or X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So this is where we are constantly always on the alert, always
Yes.
looking, always scanning, always trying to do stuff. And it's
We
fascinating when you
I was
have these
gonna say
conversations with others. Yeah.
we don't have the privilege
No.
of expressing emotions.
No, no, but yet we
We
still
really
have to
don't.
be the most emotionally aware and emotionally mature.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We have to be aware of others' emotions. We have to be aware of our emotions, but we don't have the privilege of actually expressing those emotions as we naturally probably might want to in certain situations. And
Yeah.
when we do, then we are labeled with whatever stereotype in that moment. So it's a very interesting juxtaposition of the two,
Yes. Yes. Very much so. And
which
it's
adds to
hard
the
to
exhaustion.
navigate. It
Yeah.
adds to the exhaustion. It's so exhausting trying to navigate it. I mean, just yeah. Ugh. I mean, we could talk about that
All
the rest
day,
of the
yeah.
time. Yeah.
But now with all of that, and I just have the thought right now of just like with all of that, us also being in that public forum in the same manner of being creators too, how does that add like another lens on top of everything? Because we are putting ourselves out there in a public
Yeah.
space, but then still having to make sure that like some of the things that we might talk about, and both of us are unapologetically ourselves, that we're not
Yes.
curating anything,
Yeah.
that what you're getting is what you see is what you get. Like we're not going to be here and like, oh, it's perfectly like I could never do that. My face won't let me. Like I will give away all of my all of my feelings and emotions, that I'm the one that you're nudging like, hey, fix your face.
Yeah, right.
But there are some aspects that we might talk about things that we do have to think like, oh wait, do I want to post this? Or oh wait, do I want to post that? That we
Yeah,
might have that extra layer of kind of filtering or thought that we have to go through. Is that
sure,
something that
sure.
you've kind of
No, I do. But first of all, I will always say what's on my mind,
Yeah, same.
I but I do try to say and like preface things to
Hmm.
prepare people, right? To be like, take this as you will, or I mean this with love. Like
Yeah.
I say that a lot. I'm like, I'm saying this with love. So I do try to preface it to prepare people because
Mhm.
sometimes, listen, people don't want to hear truth. People don't want
No.
to hear honesty. People want to feel good.
Yeah.
But we're not in a time when feeling good is a privilege right now. Like it is a privilege. It doesn't matter what your race, your color, your gender. Like feeling good right now is a privilege regardless because
Yeah.
there are people hurting, there are people suffering, and there are people dying, there are people being killed. Like if
Yeah.
we're gonna be honest, right? And so sometimes you have to just tell people what it is.
Hmm.
And so but I do try to I'll have tough love, but I do try to preface things so it's
Hmm.
not coming across like cruel or mean or in a
Hmm.
way that, but again, that you can't control how people perceive and receive things. So, and I've gotten plenty of messages like, well, when you said this, I was like, well, what I said and what you heard are
Are two different.
completely two different things, and
Yeah.
I can't change that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you want me to do right now,
Yeah.
And I've said
It's
that to
true.
people. I'm like, well, that's not what I said. That's what you heard, but that's not what I said. So it is what it is.
You gotta let it be. Yeah.
You gotta let it be. You just gotta let it be. Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
No, I love, yeah. It's a lot to think about and a
it
lot to
is.
process.
It
Yeah.
really is. It's a hard space, especially because so much of our human interactions are
Mhm.
online,
Yeah.
also,
Yes.
right? So, like, even somebody watching a video of mine
Hmm.
and then messaging me about it, I respond. They'll hear my response in a different tone, come back to
Hmm.
me with a tone that I'm also perceiving a different way. I mean, my
Hmm.
gosh, it's like, how do we? I wrote a Substack about how do we human? Because,
Yeah.
like, how do you, everybody responds differently, everybody communicates differently, everybody thinks differently. But for me, the beauty of it is trying, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
You have to make the effort. I mean, my husband and I communicate he's a lawyer, so everything is so analytical and literal, and it gets on my damn nerves because I'm like, can you just feel this for a minute? And he's like, whoa,
What
what
is
did it? I'm like, like, no, just have the emotion to it. And he was like, no, but I hear you, but I'm also looking at, like, whenever we talk about politics, like he's
Mhm.
totally liberal like I am, but he's always like, well, I could see it from this. I'm like, I don't want to hear how you could see it from that perspective. I want you to just agree with me right
Just
now.
let it be. Yeah.
Right, let it be. So I'm very, and I'm ruled by my emotions and my heart,
Hmm.
and that's like how I react first, right? And so we're very different in that way, but we've learned how to communicate with each other based on how we perceive information and how we do that. And so it's hard when you have to do that with all of your relationships, and then you have to do that with people that you don't even know on social
Yeah.
media, right?
Yeah.
So trying to apply like all of those tools and stuff to strangers, it's again exhausting. That's the thing for the
Exhausting. Yeah, that's the even better.
but the point is that you try,
Hmm.
and in my Substack, the logline is everything begins with the conversation. And
Mm.
I fully believe that. Like you can't have any form of progress or any form of anything without having a conversation. And we
Hmm.
just need to be able to try. I think that's what's super important. And also what I've learned is I want to always assume positive intent from
Hmm.
people.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that people are going into conversations to be combative, to
Yeah.
start a fight, to try to dehumanize me. Now, there are the people that are, and they show up immediately like that. But there are other times when people just want to be heard, and
Hmm.
I realize that. And so, yeah, I really I try to apply those thought processes when I'm having interactions with people, but it is hard because there's a lot of people online.
Yes. And that what parasocial relationship is something also
Yes.
trying to figure out too.
Ooh, ooh,
That yeah, that we've kind of turned away from the interpersonal that used to be a thing of face to face. We have this communication and we can kind of do it now. Like right now we're on Zoom and we're
yeah,
kind of doing this in
yeah,
virtually, but still there's those little nuances of body language and just that being able to read someone's face that you
sure.
don't get when you're responding in a comments on a social media post.
Yeah,
So those little things kind of make it interesting. And then also with the parasocial that you've developed this relationship and then some people who are following and in your community online, get more connected because of something and they might only see only one type of your content. So
yeah.
they only perceive you in one niche. So when something else happens, it throws it. It's a very Wild West kind of world right now that it's been around for a while, but it's only going to keep getting more and more. And then also with the addition of AI, that's going to throw another loop because are you actually interacting with a human or is it now an algorithm?
Right. Oh my gosh, I know. That's the other thing. Like, who am I talking to?
Who are you talking to? Yeah, that's the other thing is who's on the other side of that response, that comment, or even that post that I think now we can hopefully most people can kind of
You
tell
kind of tell, yeah.
what's AI and what's not. But some things are getting better that you're like, ooh, I don't know.
I
Like,
know it's gonna get harder. It really
yeah.
is. And that worries me. It also worries me for like my parents because like my dad has
Hmm.
sent me AI videos before and I'm like, that's
Like,
not
don't
real,
believe it.
Daddy. It's not real. You and he's like, what? It's not real. And I'm like, it's not real.
Yeah.
It's not. And so yeah, it concerns me because well, also like they have like super fake AI, like super AI, but like realistic profiles now, like with
Yes.
pictures and like
Yes.
those are weird. Like I can
Those
tell when
are.
it's a bot, like
Yeah.
because you can look and see that like the way the username is made or like
Uh-huh.
when their last post was, I'm like, okay, this is fake. But like
Yeah.
now, like these AI created characters that look like real people, they're
Hmm.
posting regularly.
Yes.
It's but like why?
Yeah.
What is the point? I
I
don't
don't
understand.
know.
There are enough people on the planet. Like, why are we creating fake people to have conversations and arguments with? Like, you're
Yes.
arguing with a robot.
Yeah.
I don't. Oh my gosh. This
Definitely
is,
some of those comments. I'll be like, you know what? We're just ignoring that. Like,
I
what?
just like, we're failing the human experiment. That's just what's happening. That's what I've decided. Because like there's no reason for this. There's no reason. Even from like a business and company standpoint, I don't understand the point of creating fake profiles. You have
Yeah.
billions of people on these platforms. You don't
Yes.
need to create fake people. Like what are you doing?
Yeah. That you can get a real person to like respond or do the thing.
It's so bizarre to me. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I could go off on AI for another hour. From the music industry AI, from the fake actors that they're creating, from like all the
Yeah.
like the girl.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now I
it's a
am
lot.
so with the music side, I am curious what's going to happen with that because there's been a lot of recent like AI songs that have gotten released. And while, some of them are bangers, I like them, but
I
there's
know,
also
and that's also the thing that actually upsets me. And I'm like, this
yeah,
is good.
it's good.
This is
It's
good.
good.
Like the
Like
number one Christian artist named like Solomon, I forget his last name. I listened to the song and I was like,
uh-huh.
this is incredible. I'm so mad.
Yeah.
And so, oh my gosh, girl, you now you get me all worked up, and we're like
I'm here
coming
for
to the end.
it.
But here's the thing with the music AI. These are the two things that this is how I see it. The
Mhm.
positive that I view AI for music that could be used for indie artists is being able to produce your own music and not break
Mhm.
the bank. It's very hard for independent artists to consistently make content and music
Mhm.
because it's expensive to pay a
Mhm.
producer, to go to a studio, to rent out all of that, right? Now, I have a producer that I've worked with, two producers that I've worked with on occasion, and we're very close, so they don't charge me much and
Mhm.
they get part of the publishing and everything. We have like a whole thing that we worked out whenever I release a song, and it's
Yeah.
fine and it's affordable. But there are a lot of producers that charge like $2,000,
Mhm.
$2,500 per song,
Oh.
and independent artists don't see that kind of money.
Mm-mm.
So it's hard, right? So if you're able to use certain AI tools, because there's a lot of AI tools that have come out recently to
Mhm.
help you produce the kind of song that you want to do, I think that independent artists should take advantage of that because
Mhm.
if you want to be an artist, don't wait for other people and then you don't have to make the excuse of, well, I don't have the money because you can pay
Mhm.
$15 a month for some of these programs. Type in, I want to have this type of vibe. I want it in this key. I want this sections or whatever. And they can help you build a song. And I think that that is beautiful and that's great. Um, the downside now is that it's not limited to the music production. It's
Mhm.
also the voice creation.
Mhm.
And that's what's terrifying because, again, this Christian artist, his name's, I'm gonna look him up right now because
Okay.
I was so mad. Um, and also the person who made him, I'm just like annoyed by because he's a black MAGA person.
Oh.
I I'm very upset. Um, I'm trying to look it up. It's like
Oh, you're
Solomon.
good.
What? No, 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 no. I can't find it. Where is it? Number one Christian artist, Spotify AI. I'm gonna find this right now. Yes, Solomon Ray. Okay.
Okay.
It's this black AI singer.
Uh-huh.
Girl, he's singing down on the songs, but it's AI. And I'm like, this is blasphemous, first of all, but it's so upsetting. And so I don't know, I don't know what the future is for artistry
Yeah.
anymore because the number one Christian artist on
Is
Spotify is
AI.
a robot.
Yeah.
That's wild to me,
That
right?
is wild.
But it's even more wild if it's good. I
Yeah.
listened to one song and I had to like on principle I couldn't do it anymore because I was like, this is wrong. But this slaps. Like this is a
Yeah.
really good
Yeah.
song. And so it's upsetting, but I'm hoping that real artists
Hmm.
can utilize the production tools
Mm.
to be able to elevate their own music so that they can continue creating because
Yeah.
I want to hear the real voices. I want to hear the rawness. I want to hear and I don't know if we're ever gonna really fully get back to that,
Hmm.
but I hope that this actually pushes independent artists to want to create more rather than turning them away.
Yeah.
So,
I love the accessibility that AI can bring to
yes.
different things. My
Yeah.
only fear also with the music thing, and I was thinking about it with the more recent AI songs that have been popping off and becoming trending, copyright. Like, how
Ooh,
do you protect the artists? And there's no, I don't think there's any set laws yet about AI specifically and
yeah.
copyright. So I'm like, is that something that's gonna, it should be in there sooner because
I
there's too
know.
many
Yeah,
things that
yeah.
are,
Yeah.
yeah. That I'm just like, how do you navigate that world? It's like I guess in the litigation sense, it's a gray area.
Yeah. Very much so. Very much. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I know that they figured it out with like with acting, like
Hmm.
Gavin Newsom's my
Yeah.
governor. He was made, just put into law that like you can't do AI for actors,
Hmm.
which thank God because I know that they were trying to.
Yeah.
But with music, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Mm.
I don't know. That's interesting with the copyright stuff. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see. But it is
Yeah.
something that I'm sure is going to be a part of the conversation and probably sooner than later.
Yes, for sure. Okay, now we are coming, I guess, kind of to the end of our conversation. We've
Yeah.
been all over the place. I hope you all
I
have enjoyed
love
this
it.
journey,
This
and
is
I'm
a
here for
fun
it.
ride.
Like,
Yes.
that's what a good conversation is, though. There's not really one trajectory. It's kind of like we're all over the
Absolutely.
place. But before we kind of come to a close, is there anything else that you wanted to talk about or share about?
Oh gosh. I mean, people can just follow me and stay up to date
Yeah.
with all the things that I'm doing. I have a film that I'm waiting to hear back on for some for a festival run. Um, Christmas song coming out soon. I started a couple years ago a project called the Black Voices Heard Project,
Hmm.
and that's kind of been like a when I'm able to. I had a production crew that I was working with, and unfortunately, they lost their house in the Altadena fire at the beginning of the year.
Hmm.
So, we've put that on pause, but it is something I'm really, really passionate about, and I'm hoping to bring that back soon because I think hearing Black voices talk about their experiences is it's something I'm deeply passionate about. So I'm hoping to do that as well. And then with the New Evangelicals, running that organization, it's been really meaningful because it's a way for me to put my faith in action and show up in the way that I believe people who claim to be Christians are supposed to show up. So we're doing a lot over there with having a community. We have a community space that's off of Meta. We have a
Hmm.
lot of educational resources, theology classes, how-to resources, church directory of churches that are deemed safe, and we have a bunch of stuff that we're doing. We just had a really big Giving Tuesday campaign. So yeah, again, I'm just my hands in everything.
I love it. Again, that multi-hyphenate. You gotta rock all
Yes,
the things, right?
yes,
And for
yes.
those listening, I will definitely have Melinda's contact information so you can reach out if you're not already following. You can contact her via the social medias, her website. All of that information will be in the description box or in the caption below. So check for that. And before we officially end this conversation, can you just share some words of wisdom or some takeaways that you want the listeners to kind of walk away with?
Sure. There are a couple things that I tend to tell people because a lot of people ask me how they can show up, what they can do. They don't know what to say, they don't know what to do. And what I always tell people is start by saying that. If you want to make a post that says, "Hey, I really want to get involved. I really want to say something. I just don't know where to start." You will probably be met with more grace and more people that feel that same way than if you're silent and then people realize you've been silent and they're gonna come up to you like, why you ain't saying nothing, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's more important to be honest about how you're feeling about things. If you want to get involved but you don't know where to start, say that. I think that that's super important. Because also that means that you care, that shows that you care, but you're just unsure of what the next step is, which I think a lot of people are in that boat. They don't know what to do. This is a really uncertain time, and there are a lot of people that are leading the charge, and there are a lot of people that want to do something, but they feel like they don't have the tools. You don't need a big following to make a difference. You don't. You don't. You don't need to have a huge platform to make a difference, to show up, to be a part of a movement. Just do the best that you can, and also give yourself grace. I think a lot of people are hard on themselves in this time, so that's the one thing that I would say. I would also say if you're a creator, if you're an artist, whatever the case may be, make for yourself, create for yourself. Don't worry about fitting into a niche or a bubble because what I've found is someone who's built a platform brick by brick, slowly but surely, and has also, sat back and watched people surpass me.
Mhm.
I've realized that like I'm gonna stay authentic to who I am and what I'm doing, and the people will come,
Yeah.
right? And I think that that's what's important. And also what I found is the people that do come, they are so engaged and they are so bought in. And it's really incredible because I get a lot of messages from people of just gratitude and saying, you made me think about something differently, or I learned something from you, or people always ask me what my Venmo is, and I'm like, I'm not giving you my. It makes me so awkward and uncomfortable. I
Oh.
know there are creators that do that. I hate it. So I'm always like, just subscribe to my Substack. Like, if you really, I've had people find my Venmo, and I'm just like, okay, but like, thank you, but like, I don't want you to do that. I'll take money from Meta, but I don't really want to take money from you unless you're subscribing to my Substack, because then I'll feel like I'm actually giving you something. But
Mhm.
just create and do whatever your medium is
Mhm.
because it's what matters to you, and don't do it to try to like please somebody and to find an audience. Your audience will find you. So those are my little wisdom nuggets just from personal experience of what I felt, yeah, has worked. Yeah.
I love that. I love those. And yes, the theme of just be unapologetically yourself. Don't try to fit
Yeah.
into a bubble. Just be you. I love that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, thank you so much for having this
Oh my gosh, this
conversation.
was wonderful. This was so wonderful. I'll talk to anybody, but I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
No. Well, thank you for being here.
Of course, of course.
Well, that concludes this episode. And if you've enjoyed my conversation with Malynda, and if you want to hear more episodes, then please check out my podcast website, brokephdpodcast.com. And also be sure to check out my podcast YouTube page at Broke PhD Podcast. And be sure that you are subscribed here on my personal page at Dr. Keisha Green. And make sure you hit that notification bell as well. Well, I thank you so much for being here. I thank you so much for watching. I am wishing you all the best. And remember, you got this. And I will see you in the next video. Bye, y'all.